Hi everyone, it's Dina and I'm back again today with another casual beading tutorial. Today we're going to be doing another memory wire bracelet using the Bargain Bead Box February 2025 collection called the Floral Fantasy. So in order to complete this project, you'll need the following beads from the box. You'll need the 8mm crackle agate beads. This is the color of Mystic Blue. And really, any type of 8mm bead would do. So if you don't have this box at home, you can still follow along and just use whatever type of 8mm bead that you like. Same thing with the bicones. Bicones came in the box, but if you didn't get the box, that's perfectly fine too. These are 4mm bicones. The color is Light Sapphire AB. Then we'll also need some sort of a charm. Now this box came with, I think it was 10 grams of the charm. Yeah, 10 grams of these charms, and these are the Lotus Flower charms. They're 13 by 11 millimeters. Really doesn't matter what type of charm that you use. You can use a completely different one if you wanted to. My box actually came with a quantity of 12, so I'm going to go ahead and use all 12 in this bracelet. You're also going to need some extra products as well. You're going to need some memory wire. You're going to need 4mm and 6mm jump rings. Then you're going to need some Miyuki seed beads. We have the 8-O's in the Fuchsia Line Aqua Luster. And this is Miyuki's number 352 if you're interested in that. Then we have 11-O's over here, and this is the Crystal Labrador Full, and that Miyuki number is 55006. The other things that we will need for this are a few tools. So we're going to need some memory wire cutters, which is always what you want to use whenever you're cutting memory wire so it doesn't ruin your other cutters. Then you're going to need some sort of either a round nose plier or bail making pliers. I'm going to use my bail making pliers just because I know the exact sizes of these, the loops and everything, so I know everything is going to be symmetrical. So go ahead and gather up all those materials. I would suggest first to get out your jump rings because we're going to add our jump rings to our charms right away and whatever charm that you're going to use. Your 6mm jump rings, go ahead and make sure all of those are closed. Your 4mm jump rings, make sure all of those are open. And then in this next clip, I'll show you what to do in order to attach those, and then we'll start the bracelet after that. Alright, so now that you have all of your charms out and then your jump rings, the 6mm are all closed, all of your 4mm are open. I forgot to mention in the last clip, it's probably a lot easier if you have two sets of pliers to open and close your jump rings with. All we need to do now is just pick up our 4mm, which is already open. Just pick up your charm, attach that, and attach your closed 6mm jump ring. Or if you have 6mm closed rings, you can always use those as well. See if I can get it on there without shaking too hard. And then we just want to close up our 4mm. That's all you need to do with that first step. And then I would suggest to get all of your charms that you're going to use. Like I said, I have 12. I would suggest to go ahead and get all of these attached, so it's just much easier just to start stringing on your beads and everything here in just a second on the memory wire. So after you get that part done, then meet me back and I will show you the pattern that we're going to use for the memory wire bracelet. Okay, so now we have all of our charms all put together. So these are in a pile over here. This is going to be the pattern that we're going to use. Now it may be a little confusing, so if you have problems seeing patterns, because I know that's a problem for some people, other people have no problems whatsoever seeing patterns. But if it is something that does bother you, we will always start off with one of the bigger beads. So I'm going to put that on the memory wire first, so you can either set that aside if you like to, or just know that we're going to start off with one of these. Now the pattern itself is going to start with an 11-O, and if you need to put these out in order just like this too, then that might help you out. So an 11-O, a bicone, and 11-O. And you want to think of these in thirds. So each time we add something, we're going to be adding 3 beads at a time. The next portion is going to be an 8-O, a gemstone, and an 8-O. Then the next one is going to be just like the other one, an 11-O, a bicone, and an 11-O. And then the last section is going to be a gemstone, a charm, and a gemstone. So after we put our first bead on, which really doesn't count in the rotation, we're going to do an 11, a bicone 11, then an 8, a gemstone an 8, then the 11, bicone 11 again, and then a gemstone charm and a gemstone. Now I'm just going to string everything on my memory wire itself. I don't know exactly how many loops I'm going to need on this rotation because I'm going to go ahead and use all 12 of my charms. It's probably estimated going to be about 3 to 4 loops, but I don't want to cut off too much and I don't want to cut off too little. So I'm just going to leave everything on the wire. If you have a bead stopper, especially if your wire is not very long, then go ahead and put a bead stopper on down here at the very bottom of the memory wire just to make sure nothing falls off. Alright, so like I had said in the beginning, we're always going to start off with a bigger bead. So I'm going to put the 8mm gemstone on first. Our first rotation again was an 11-0, a bicone, and an 11-0. Our second 3 sets of beads was an 8mm, or 8-0, the 8-0 seed bead, then the 8mm gemstone, then an 8-0 seed bead. Our third set of 3 beads is going to be an 11-0 again, the bicone, and an 11-0. And then our last set of 3 beads is going to be a gemstone. As soon as I find the hole for it, there it is. One of our charms. Now these charms are double-sided, so you have the same pattern on this side as well as the same pattern on that side. The only difference is that that C or the moon shape would be facing in a different direction. I'm not going to depict which way I'm going to pick that up. I'm just going to pick up one and put it on there. So if some end up in this direction and then others end up in that direction, that's perfectly fine for me. If that bothers you, then make sure that you're just putting on your charm in the way that you want it to be put on. Or if you're using a charm that is only one-sided, then you want to do that. Now the last part of this 3 set of beads is that gemstone again. So then now, that's what you have. You have your gemstone, which is that first bead that we started. Then that's your first set of 3, the 11 bicone 11, your second set of 3, third set of 3, and next set of 3. So now you would start off with your 11 bicone 11 again. And then just continue on down the bracelet until you've got the length that you would like and how many rotations of the memory wire that you would like. And then once you get all of those put on, and like I said, I'm going to go ahead and use all 12 of my charms over here. So once I get all 12 of those on, then I'll show you how to cut off the memory wire and how we will finish it off with making little loops at the end to make it a little bit more comfortable for people to wear. So go ahead and get that part done, and then I'll meet you back here in a minute. Alright, so once you have all of your charms put onto your memory wire, it looks like it's going to be about 3 rotations, which is pretty much what I like to do, around 3 to 4 rotations at the max. I don't like to have huge memory wire bracelets. So this will end up being just about the right size that I like. So what I want to do here at the end is mimic what we did at the beginning. Let me see if I can get it to get to where you can see it. So this down here up against my left hand is the first rotation where we have that first gemstone. We want to mimic that first set of beads that we put on, so that way this side will look the same as this side. So we just need to go backwards. So we just put on, it was working earlier, it's not working now. We had just put on this combination of the gemstone, charm gemstone. So we're going to put on another rotation of our bicone with the 11s on either side, another single gemstone with the 8s on either side, another bicone with the 11s on either side, and then end with another gemstone. So go ahead and do that part to get caught up with it. So I'm putting on the bicone. This is how I was telling myself to remember how to do it. Bicone, then the gemstone combo, and then the bicone. And then we'll end with that last gemstone because that's what we started with. And then that way it'll make the bracelet look a little bit more symmetrical. So just like that. So go ahead and finish that last step and then come back and I'll show you how to finish off the memory wire and get it cut off on the other end. Alrighty, so now that we have everything strung on to our memory wire, let's finish off this end that we've been working with, and then we'll cut off the other end and do the same thing on the other side. So to finish this off, I'm going to use my 6-step bail making pliers. I'm going to use the smallest step, which, if I remember correctly, I believe is a 2mm. So I'm going to use that smaller step. So I'm going to put the memory wire into the pliers to where you really can't feel it on the other side. And what I'm going to do is go with the bend of the memory wire. You can go backwards if you want, but sometimes I've done that in the past and I've actually broken the memory wire, so I like to go with the bend. So you just start twisting, and what you want to do, you have to put a little bit of force to this sometimes. It does go, it just takes it a minute to get started. There it goes. And what you want to do is about 2 or 3 bends, or 2 or 3 rounds. But you want to make sure that that starting point that you had is facing upwards. So this point right here is facing towards you. So that way, whoever's wearing it will hopefully not have it rub up against their wrist. And it will be uncomfortable if that happens. So that's what you do with the first part. So the first part's always the easy part. This is the part that gets a little bit more difficult. So what we want to do is make sure all of our beads are down tight enough to the bracelet so there's no gaps, or there's just a little bit of gaps. So you just want to do a double check and make sure everything's in here the way that you want it to look. And how did that happen? Oh, look at that. My charm actually connected into the bracelet down here. Alright, so that's towards the end. So give me just a second. Let me finish that and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to get that cut off. Alright, problem's fixed. It ended up being that the charm actually just wrapped around one of the wires when I was trying to make it tighter just then. So I got it fixed, so just make sure everything looks right and everything's in the right place that you want and all, as far as the beads are concerned. And then once you have all your beads that are tight up against what we did down here, now we're going to make the same loop on this side. Now you want to give yourself enough room. I've been doing 2 finger widths in previous videos that I've done, but I'm only going to do just a little bit more than 1 finger width this time. This is where you're going to need your wire cutters for memory wires. And then I just have one of my fingers sitting here, and then just slightly afterwards I'm going to cut right there. And then I'm going to take my bail making pliers again and try to do the same thing on this side. Now, like I said, this one's a little bit more difficult. If you don't like doing these type of rounds with memory wire, they do make bead type caps that you can purchase at different locations that you can just glue in the cap here at the end of the memory wire. So I may have a little bit more than loops on this side compared to the other side. And like I said, this is kind of difficult, so this type of a finish off of memory wire may not be for everybody, especially those that may have arthritic hands and things like that. Mine keeps clicking because it's not turning very well. There we go, now we're turning. You just kind of have to give it a little bit of elbow grease and try to get it to where your beads, or this little part down here, is not up against the skin. Now mine did end up on the bottom, so what do you do when that happens? You can always try, there again it's memory wire so it may be a little bit more difficult, but get some chain nose pliers and try to tuck in that last loop a little bit. It may or may not work. It's one of those things you just have to try it and see if it works for you. There we go. Now it's moved in a little bit. And let's see if I can get it to go down. Oh, I pinched myself. I don't know if I can get it to move into the loop at all, but that's what I'm trying to do right away without hopefully breaking it. But memory wire is tough, and sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, and you just have to kind of get it to work as best you can. You can always get a file also and try to file down the edge of that memory wire and make it a little less rough. That may help out too, which that may be something I'll try to do here in a little bit. But other than that, you now have a finished memory wire bracelet using the Bargain Bead Box February 2025 Floral Fantasy Collection. Alrighty, so I want to say thank you for watching today, and this is what the bracelet looks like on the wrist. And then this is that part that I was just playing with, trying to see if I can get it to go into the loop. That was our last loop that we just did, and rubbing it up against the skin. I really don't feel it that much. So just kind of playing around with it, trying to get it to look, try to get it inside that loop a little bit, will help with any type of irritation. So this is what the bracelet looks like. I like how it has the different charms and everything, and I know charms dangling around like this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I like to try to do a few different types of bracelets just for everybody. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and then also hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified the next time I come out with new videos. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.